Just a little while ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, Cliff High's website was hacked and taken down. The halfpasthuman.com Cliff High Webbot ALTA report website.
Right.
It's down off the internet. This is not the first time that's happened. You see people that speak out against these things in any way, including the Webbot, come under great attack. People have been murdered over these topics. You would have to be crazy to get on radio and talk like I do. But I represent all of the soldiers. In my mind, I represent the soldiers that have fought for this country and have died and don't have a voice now. I'm their voice, and I will speak the truth as I know it, and I will inform people if they want to hear it. You see, people can't understand or appreciate or digest or wrap their mind around this unless they've had life experiences that enable them to understand what I'm saying. If you haven't had the life experiences, you will never understand what I'm conveying to you. But it's all cutting edge, and it's going to grab you soon if you don't wake up and understand what I'm telling you. At this point in time, we need to protect self and family. Time is very short. I think we have a very short period of time, matter of weeks, before things start breaking open. That's what I really believe, and I've had a lot of experience in this life. I'm 70 years old, and I have a pretty good background in this kind of stuff. I'm not making it up. And I'm putting my life on the line by talking like I do and telling you these things tonight. And I've been very vocal.
Absolutely.
Want everybody to search my name, A.C. Griffith, on the internet, on the web, and on the YouTube. And you will see archives of recordings there available to listen to other programs that I've talked on. The Webbot, the ALTA report, ALTA, Cliff High, lives in Washington State. He's a computer expert. He's brilliant and probably has a better grasp of the language than anybody I know. He picks up the emotional values of words after searching the internet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with computers. And he's realized that you can project and make prophecy of future events based on the computer runs. I have no idea how that works. Maybe he doesn't fully understand. I'm sure he's got ideas how it works. But he's been very successful in the past. He hit the worldwide financial collapse on the day from a year out. On the day. And now he's making a prediction of a major turning point, a major event that's coming at us November the 8th through the 11th. That's 4 weeks away, 27 days away, I think. Up to now, he's got another report coming out in a few days, another ALTA report. And that could be why his website is being hacked, to keep people from seeing it. It is cutting edge news. He talks about Israel attacking Iran and the retaliation of the Arab nations against Israel and turning 4 cities in Israel into glass, and then implied attacks on the United States. But the chart from November the 8th goes down on a steep angle, and then it goes straight down off the bottom of the chart. Now that's the kind of chart you would have if you dropped a bomb in the Second World War on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. That's the kind of chart you would have. So we have a major devastation coming to us or to the world after November the 8th, which is 4 weeks from now.
Right. Yeah, I've seen the chart on his site, and yeah, it is a drastic drop off. From my understanding, the WebBot program is a web crawler, and it identifies certain keywords that are being used throughout the internet, and it ranks basically based on the type of keywords that it's finding in order to use its predictive algorithm to determine what kind of future events there's a build up and then what they call release language, whereas when the event is coming close, the language and the terms that are being used on just globally, throughout the internet, it gives an indicator of what's coming up and what kind of events are coming, and it has made very accurate predictions so far. But this event coming up right now is quite concerning. If you just look at that chart and you see the way it drops right off the scale, that's pretty remarkable.
I don't think he's ever encountered a display like that in all of the years of running the WebBot. So it's quite unique. It could be the beginning of the collapse of the United States. We know that the finances, the money system is collapsing. And I want to report in the minutes left here, we can't really get into it too much because of time restraints, but Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and Barney Frank had very little to do with the collapse of world banking. The main cause for the world financial collapse had to do with a program that was set up under the Reagan administration to devalue and bring down the Soviet Union and cause the collapse financially of the Soviet Union. And that was run by a CIA operative named Leo E. Wanta. Ambassador Wanta was given that project, and with his men they successfully devaluated the Russian ruble with the help of other foreign nations, European nations, that put up money. The United States gave Wanta $150 billion to operate with, and other countries, England, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, they put up billions of dollars. And Wanta was successful in bringing the country down. Russia collapsed under the weight of Wanta's attacks on their finances and on their banking. He wound up with $27 trillion. $27 trillion sucked out of world banking by the CIA. And recently there was a deal cut with him. He had an operation, a Marrow Trust here in Richmond, Virginia. He made a deal with the government, the administration, and had $4.5 trillion transferred from People's Bank of China to Bank of America in Richmond. They went back on the deal. The Fed in Richmond hired Troutman Sanders law firm here with 600 attorneys to strong-arm Bank of America and release the $4.5 trillion to the Fed. And they transferred it to J.P. Morgan in New York and dispersed it. Pilgrim Investment, George Bush's company, got billions. Mark Rich, the convicted felon under Clinton, got billions, and 3 others got billions out of that 4.5. The courts had said that money belonged to Wanta, but they stole it. Now, Christopher Story in England was reporting all of that. They killed him recently in the last few weeks. He was assassinated for writing it. Christopher Story was killed. He was assassinated for writing it. He wrote a news report called Global Intelligence, I believe. He named people and named the money. And I went to the federal courts in Alexandria, Virginia, and got 36 pages of the court documents that talked about the lawsuit that Wanta had put in against the Fed and the president and so on. And it's right there in court documents. Wanta said, if you don't put this money back in the treasury, the world finances will collapse. And that's exactly what's happening. It's not Barney Frank's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. It's Leo Wanta. And they're preventing the money from going back in the treasury. Obama's preventing it. George Bush prevented it, and Clinton prevented it. So you can only think that it is an orchestrated collapse of world economy.
And this is engineered for establishing a world currency, for setting up a world cashless, global cashless society. So where
I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that the debit monetary system has been set up all except the implant on the back of the hand. Everything else is in place. Everything is barcoded. The guard bars on the barcodes on all of the products in the world set up on the guard bars are 666. They come out in the computer as a 666, and they're called guard bars on the barcodes. It must play into that in the future, but in the meantime, countries are going to collapse. The United States monetary is guaranteed to collapse. The post office is collapsing. They can't generate enough money to pay their retirement funds, let alone operate. Post office has the largest fleet of vehicles in the world, more than any army, and they can't maintain that. So you can say with absolute certainty that the dollar will collapse as we go through hyperinflation, and it's starting right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, anybody who learns anything about just the basic fundamentals of a debt-based economy where we borrow money into existence, and we went off the gold standard back in the 70s, it doesn't take much for even the most skeptical person to see that this economy is just beyond recovery, especially when the Federal Reserve keeps printing out billions upon billions of dollars in fiat currency. There's no way to rectify the situation at this point. Gerald Celente is a good font of information for that.
The Federal Reserve is a private company.
Yes.
And when the government prints money, it gives it to the Federal Reserve for the cost of the ink and the paper, and then when the government spends the money, they have to borrow it back from the Federal Reserve and pay interest.
Right.
And all of that money it ultimately comes from the labor of the people and the debts put on the people.
Oh, yeah.
And there is no such thing as money. All of the paper that we call money are actually promissory notes from a private company called the Federal Reserve. And it says so right on the front of the bill at the top over the portrait. It's a note. It's a promissory note, but there is no promise. No one knows what the promise is. It's interesting. Try it sometime. Take your money to the bank and ask what the word note means on the dollar.
Right.
And nobody knows. You will never get an answer. There is no promise to promissory note.
I don't know if you've ever read any Robert Anton Wilson, but he referred to our paper currency as survival tickets. It's not really money, and the reason why people get stressed about it is because if they don't have these pieces of paper, then it's a threat to their survival. And that's really all it represents as far as any real meaning to the dollar. And he wrote this book back. I think it was written back in the 70s. But that's when I first started getting hip to the idea of what our currency is actually worth. What is it worth? The answer to that is it's worth nothing. It's worth less than nothing, as a matter of fact.
Well, it's not even currency. It's a promissory note. If you went to the bank to borrow money, they would have you sign a promissory note. Well, these pieces of paper are really under the law of promissory notes, but they don't promise anything. There is no promise. Yeah. So it's not money. It's not currency. It's promissory notes.
Well,
that nobody
isn't it true that paper currency, at least in this country, even before the establishment of the Federal Reserve, our currency has always been a promissory note, but the note was at least backed up with the promise of gold. You could exchange. It would say right on the bill that this note is good in exchange for the stated value in gold.
Yes, that's right. In Fort Knox, and many people don't believe there's any gold in Fort Knox. It's all been flittered away. Then we went on the silver standard, and during the Nixon administration, we went off the silver standard. Now the Congress can print and make as much promissory notes as they want to. There's no restraints on them. But that kicks off inflation and hyperinflation and devalues the value of the promissory notes. So it's a double-edged sword.